On September 11th, 2001, at approximately 8:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, there were only a total of 14 aircraft ready to scramble to defend the airspace and respond to an emergency in the continental United States. Only 14 because who could have anticipated the unthinkable? In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience ready to fight tonight. And Major Mike Webb is a trained intelligence officer who stood up the counterintelligence operations cell for the U.S. Army for the Oklahoma City bombing and the pipe bombing at the Atlanta Olympics. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first. And it's about time. On September 11th, 2001, at approximately 8:20 a.m., 4 Saudi nationals, Khalid al-Mihdhar, Majed Moqed, Nawaf al-Hazmi, and Salem al-Hazmi, accompanied by Hani Hanjour, all operatives for the jihadist terror organization Al-Qaeda, were aboard American Airlines Flight 77 when it lifted off from Dulles International Airport. They were lightly armed with weapons suspected to be small knives and box cutters, which set off the alarms in security. But when the plane lifted off at 8:20 a.m., it had 64 people on board, a crew of 6 plus 58 passengers. They sat amongst 53 other passengers plus 6 flight crew, and no one was aware that tragedy would occur less than an hour later. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience ready to fight tonight. But Congressman Don Beyer says of his experience as a politically appointed ambassador to Switzerland that he was only just a messenger. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first. On September 11, 2001, at approximately 8:20 a.m., there were over 4,600 aircraft aloft over the continental United States. But American Flight 77 from Dulles lifted off within 41 minutes of the other 3 aircraft that would alter history that day. 2 aircraft departed from Boston's Logan International Airport, American Airlines Flight 11, with an 11-member crew, 76 passengers, and 5 hijackers, taking off at 7:59 a.m. And United Airlines 175 with a 9-member crew, 51 passengers, and 5 hijackers, taking off at 8:14 a.m., and both bound for Los Angeles. 1 aircraft, United Flight 93, with a 7-member crew, 33 passengers, and 4 hijackers, bound for San Francisco, took off at 8:42 a.m. Each flight crew ceased communication with air traffic control within a half hour after takeoff. But the first air traffic controllers did not raise a concern until 8:21 a.m. when American Airlines Flight 11, departing from Boston Logan, turned off its transponder. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience, ready to fight tonight. But in 4 years in Congress, Congressman Don Beyer has consistently placed partisan politics before the nation and voted against the National Defense Authorization Act. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first. And it's about time. On September 11th, 2001, the Federal Aviation Administration did not alert the Northeast Air Defense Sector of the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, until 8:38 a.m. But it was too late. The military had only 9 minutes to respond with its 14 aircraft ready to scramble anywhere in the continental United States before American Airlines Flight 11 was the first plane to strike the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City at 8:46 a.m. 25 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., the second plane, United Airlines Flight 175, struck the South Tower. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience, ready to fight tonight. But in over 4 years in Congress, Congressman Beyer supported the nuclear arms deal that threatened our best friend and strongest ally in the Middle East. In 2020, It's not about politics, but putting the nation first, and it's about time. It was not until 8:53 a.m. that the Air National Guard launched 2 F-15 fighter planes from Otis Air Force Base on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And when NORAD received the alert at 9:09 a.m., they scrambled F-16s at Langley Air Force Base near Norfolk, Virginia, to intercept United Flight 93, which had departed from Newark, because they believed that American Flight 11, which had departed from Dulles, was traveling south. At 9:59 a.m., the North Tower collapsed, followed by the South Tower at 10:28 a.m., killing more than 2,700 people there alone. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77, after traveling all the way to Kentucky and looping back, struck the Pentagon, while at 10:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 93 crashed in a remote area in Pennsylvania. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience, ready to fight tonight. But in 4 years in Congress, Congressman Beyer had a 100% rating from the National Iranian American Council and a 0% rating from the Center for Security Policy. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first, and it's about time. On May 2nd, 2011, local time, and at approximately mid-afternoon on May 1st Eastern Standard Time, Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden was killed by U.S. Special Forces during an early morning raid in Abbottabad, Pakistan. He was located through all-source intelligence analysis that had determined that the compound had been built near the military academy at some time in 2006 and had a price tag of about $1 million, significantly more expensive than other homes in the area. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience, ready to fight tonight. But Congressman Don Beyer needs a report from the FBI to determine whether or not civil rights are violated when police pursue you for no reason. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first, and it's about time. Satellite imaging and/or local photography confirmed several other tactically significant details about the Abbottabad compound structure, including the fact that it was surrounded by a 12 to 18-foot wall topped by barbed wire. Whoever was inside did not want anyone climbing the walls. It had 2 security gates, with only one operational and a security guard. Whoever was inside was very concerned about physical security. And the structure had covered windows as well as a 3rd-floor terrace patio that had a 7-foot privacy wall. Whoever was inside was not there for the view and did not want anyone looking in. But no one knew who he or she was to risk the lives of American soldiers and direct the maneuver of military assets on just a guess. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience, ready to fight tonight. But despite having the worst roll call voting record of any congressman from Virginia, and unashamed to admit to reporters that he still has not figured out the congressional bell system, Congressman Beyer complains about the alleged incompetence of the current president, and he is the only congressman from the Commonwealth of Virginia to have called for impeachment. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first, and it's about time. The $1 million Abbottabad compound structure, less than a mile from the military academy, significantly had no evidence of being wired into the conventional communications grid, lacking wires to indicate telephone and or internet service. Whoever was inside was very selective about with whom they wished to speak and did not want their communications intercepted, but no one knew who he or she was to risk the lives of American soldiers and direct the maneuver of military assets on just a guess. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience, ready to fight tonight. But when Congressman Beyer was called to respond about his donations to the Democrat National Committee in exchange for an ambassadorship in Switzerland, he joined his Democrat colleagues to blame the disclosure of his crimes on the Russians. In 2020, it's not about politics. It's about putting the nation first. And it's about time. Again, tactically significant, intelligence confirmed that the occupants of the Abbottabad compound structure, perhaps up to 24 in total, burned their trash rather than having it picked up. So they did not want anyone discovering circumstantial details through dumpster diving collection techniques. And intelligence confirmed that there was one individual who could be observed in a covered courtyard, indicating conscientious behavior not to be identified by facial recognition. Based only upon the size, the price tag, and the enhanced security measures observed at the compound. It was not until September 2010 that the Obama administration could not confirm, but only take a guess with certainty, contemporaneously reported after the raid to be somewhere between 60 to 80%, that the primary occupant was the mastermind of the 9/11 terror attacks, Osama bin Laden. But no one with a mathematical degree of certainty could determine if he was in fact inside to merit risking the lives of American soldiers and the maneuver of national defense assets. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience ready to fight tonight. But Congressman Beyer has actively engaged in obstruction of justice to protect exploiters of undocumented immigrant workers and internet stalkers, a class of criminals attributed to over 70% of femicides, and has yet to come public with his own arrest for public drunkenness by Falls Church Police in August 2018. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first, and it's about time. It was not until February 2011 that this intelligence on the Abbottabad compound was considered strong enough to begin planning action, and significant financial assets were dedicated to construct a classified scale model of the compound, which has now been declassified and heralded in the press after its display at the Pentagon and the NOAA headquarters, a design for which one employee was awarded a gift of up to 1/3 of his annual salary, but far more extravagant than the models that even special operations forces employ in tactical planning, where the priority purchase is in training and equipment to complete the tactical mission, not bells and whistles that look pretty in the press. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience ready to fight tonight. But Congressman Beyer, while joining his colleagues in censure votes against the tweets of the president, has used malicious internet trolls in his own campaigns and banned persons on his social media for exposing his criminal actions. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first. And it's about time. On March 14, 2011, President Barack Obama chaired the first of 5 National Security Council meetings to discuss an operation to raid the Abbottabad compound structure, Eastern Standard Time. President Obama gave the order to risk American lives and dedicate national defense assets to execute a tactical raid involving Special Operations Forces on the Abbottabad compound, with only the hope that they would find bin Laden inside. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience ready to fight tonight. But Congressman Beyer has been quick to call out the faults of others in the other party, ranging from Jared Kushner to the president's wife, to demand the denials of their security clearances, and even when the governor and attorney general of Virginia became entangled in serious scandals, he had no shame rushing to their defense on the claim that he would rather have them remain in office than to elect a Republican. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first, and it's about time. With only the hope that bin Laden might be inside. With the last meeting held on April 28, 2011, And on April 29th, 2011, at precisely 8:20 a.m., the raid took over 40 minutes in total, and for nearly half an hour, the strain on the faces of officials such as Secretary of State Clinton and former President Barack Obama are very real, because they literally had no idea what the 25-man SEAL team maneuvering through a 3-story structure might find after they breached the wall and entered the compound. But American soldiers fight and win when asked to do so, and the SEAL team retrieved numerous items from the inside the Abbottabad compound, including 10 hard drives, 5 computers, and more than 100 storage devices, such as disks, DVDs, and thumb drives. But former CIA Deputy Director Mike Morrell is now comfortable telling the American people that the former president might as well have flipped a coin on the decision to risk American lives, because he was only 50% sure at the time that Barack Obama or anyone of national security interest was actually inside. If you want to buy a car, perhaps you can make a deal with Don Biden. National security and American lives are not something to sacrifice in a gambling decision. His national security posture is a public record, even if his arrest records are not. In dangerous times, America needs leaders with experience, ready to fight tonight. In 2020, it's not about politics, but putting the nation first. And it's about time. Major Mike Webb in 2020. Proven experience, boldness, and courage. That's what leadership looks like. And Rangers lead the way. Honest. And it's about time. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.